first, I wanted to get your thoughts on the scope and the sweep of Joe Biden's victory last night.
Well, we got Steve Kornacki to help us do that in just a second. But you said it, Michigan was the state a couple weeks ago that everyone was looking at because Bernie Sanders had won it in 2016, not by a big margin, but he had won it. Could he hold on and do it again this time? The answer was a resounding no. Steve, let's look at some of the numbers here and just how Joe Biden put this together, because if I'm not wrong, I don't see a purple county on that map.
You see all Biden blue on here. This is it last night in Michigan. By the way, this was Michigan in 2016. Totally different story. It is night and day here. Sanders was just.
What happened?
Sanders ran up huge numbers in rural counties, small counties, the Upper Peninsula. He lost one county by 35 votes in 2016. And then you look at last night and you see blue everywhere. Things that were jumping out at me on this map. College counties all across the state, where the University of Michigan is, where northern Michigan, where central Michigan, western Michigan, all of those counties were huge for Sanders in 2016. It looks like he's going to lose all of them last night. The big story here, I should say, in Michigan, just when you started looking at these exit polls, the African-American vote was close to 20% of this state. It looks about the same as it did 4 years ago. It was close to a 40-point victory for Biden over Sanders. The white vote, though, changed dramatically. 4 years ago, Bernie Sanders won the white vote in Michigan by 14 points. He has now lost it, according to the exit poll, by 11.
Wow.
So a 25-point swing among white voters. You see that of non-college white, of college white, the two different types here. And it just accounts for this sweep of the state. What looks like a sweep of the state by Joe Biden raises all sorts of questions about a state that was critical in the general election, too. If Joe Biden might be more acceptable to the voters who swung Michigan away from the Democrats in 2016 than Hillary Clinton.
So what changed, Steve? Because we saw that giant rally in Ann Arbor for Bernie Sanders just a couple of days ago. Is it just the case that those young voters didn't go vote?
Yeah, I mean, I think he got some support there, but not as much.
Yeah.
And again, you take a look down here. This is a good example. Kalamazoo County, Western Michigan University. Joe Biden, 48, Sanders, 44. Look what this was 4 years ago. Sanders got over 60% of the vote here. We saw this in county after county last night. We saw suburban counties. I'll give you another one right here. Livingston County. This is sort of a classic commuting suburb here. Turnout was through the roof. Joe Biden won this thing by 17 points over Bernie Sanders. 4 years ago, Sanders won this by 21. It's a swing of nearly 40 points. You saw it in Michigan. You saw it in Missouri as well. You saw just an entire sweep here. Every single county in Missouri looks like it is going to go for Joe Biden. The swing here among white voters, 32 points. This was the closest state of all of the Democratic primaries in 2016. Missouri was the closest. It was a 1,500 vote difference. I mean, look, again, college town, by the way, this is where the University of Missouri is.
Right.
Joe Biden wins it. 4 years ago, Sanders was crushing Hillary Clinton here. We're just seeing this everywhere, every single county. In Michigan, in Missouri, and in Mississippi. Every single county for Joe Biden.
And Joe, once again, in the state of Mississippi, it was on the strength of black voters. He won by something like 70%, did Joe Biden, over Bernie Sanders in Mississippi.
Well, I want to take a closer look, Willie, at Michigan. I mean, here's a state, obviously, that's going to be one of the three states that's going to determine whether Donald Trump serves as president for 4 more years or is sent home. That was a completely dominant, I mean, it was such a dominant performance, and suggests that Joe Biden just may be the guy who can win those states. And last night he won them so big. It was an extraordinary performance.
Remember, the spread in 2016 in the state of Michigan was about 10,500 votes. That's it. So if Joe Biden can make that up, if he can make up the difference in Pennsylvania, make up the difference in Wisconsin, that's your election right there. And Steve, we should talk about the coalition more broadly now that Joe Biden has put together just in the last couple of weeks. Black voters, as you put it, you mentioned earlier, older voters, moderate voters, young voters still trending obviously toward Bernie Sanders, so it's not quite the Obama coalition, but he has put together his own Biden coalition here.
We can show it to you just within Michigan. I called it up a minute ago, I'll return to it. This is one component opponent of the coalition. This is the blue wave of 2018. Livingston County is in one of those congressional districts that went red to blue. Alyssa Slotkin, the Democrat from there. And you see Biden winning this, not just winning this by 17 points, not just a huge reversal from 4 years ago, but turnout here is up like 50% from 4 years ago. So part of this for Biden is, can you convert those blue wave voters of 2018 into Democratic voters in 2020? But how about the other side of the story here? Macomb County. This is the classic Reagan Democrat county just north of Detroit. Blue collar, a lot of blue collar white voters here. Here's Joe Biden winning this thing by 17 points. Compare that to 4 years ago. Hillary Clinton barely eked out the primary in Macomb. And boy, did she run into trouble in Macomb in the general election. This is one of those places where Trump overachieved. So you've got that as well. And then you take a look down here, Wayne County. This actually is a place where Biden didn't do quite as well as Hillary Clinton did. This is Detroit suburbs. We still may have a little bit more to be tallied there. But again, you had low turnout in Detroit in 2016. Democrats want to change that. They don't want to have what happened to them in the places like Macomb County happen again. And they want to convert those 2018 voters into 2020 voters. You mentioned the margin in Michigan was so small to begin with. If the Democrats can just make inroads in those categories, that can make all the difference in a state like
And
Michigan.
Joe, turnout, another huge part of the story last night, like it was in Virginia last week. Michigan, big turnout as well.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was going to ask Steve Kornacki. Hey, Steve, how many political pros do you know that said at the beginning of this campaign, Joe Biden, he's going to be the turnout candidate? I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? But Joe Biden is turning into the turnout candidate.
I mean, take a look at this. The number in 2016 was short of 1.2 million that turned out in Michigan. You're well over 1.5 million. That's going to be, there's still some votes to come in. In Missouri, the number, I'll show you, this isn't even this won't be a blue state in the general election likely. The number here was about let's see, it was 626. It's now sitting at 660. So they've gone through it in Missouri. They're going through it everywhere. The turnout is up here. It was even up in Mississippi. You're right. Biden got 4th in Iowa, 5th in New Hampshire, and he had him just where he wanted him.
Well, he actually said this is what he was going to do all along, win in South Carolina and keep winning, and nobody believed him. Maybe they should have. Ron Forney. Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.